Hello to everyone who's joining us from all around the globe, and welcome to our panel discussion at the International Youth Conference. My name is Alina Alexandru. I'm a political journalist, and I also have the honor of serving as the chair of the Romanian Council of Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum, and also to be the moderator of today's conversation. First of all, I am very pleased to introduce our distinguished speakers. And I will start with Natalia Vrati, who is head of operations of
Hello.
the Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum. Hello, Natalia. Moving on, we have Elena Alexandra Miron, who is the president of the Youth Platform for Sustainability and also the co-chair of the Romanian Council of YCDF. Hello, Elena. Moving on to Florent de Melesi, who is an environmental engineer and also the chair of the Kosovo Council of Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum. Hello, Florent.
Hello, everyone.
And also welcome to Bojana Paunovic, who is a consultant in European Union policy and technical assistance, and also a founding member of the Serbian Council of Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum. Hello, Bojana. So thank you all for being here today. We would also like I would also like to take this opportunity to thank to the International Youth Conference organizers for having us and for making this panel possible. Before we start, just a quick word about the Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum that brought us all today here, all of our speakers together. The Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum is a regional network that brings together young leaders, advocates, and change makers from 13 economies across Southeast Europe. We work together to address climate challenges through dialogue, cooperation, and practical action. Also, the Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum operates under the auspices of UNESCO Chair for Climate Diplomacy at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens in Greece. Let's begin with our first question, I would say. And I'd like to inform you that each of you will have around 4 minutes to share your valuable perspectives. So, Natalia, are environmental challenges in the region a threat multiplier or an opportunity multiplier?
Thank you so much for the question, Alina. But before I start, I'd like to thank the organizers and this platform for granting us again the chance to host not only one, but two panels. And a special thanks to Ali Mustafa, who is the founder of the International Youth Conference, an individual with whom I think we share the same values and vision for youth participation in decision-making processes. And I also want to say how happy I am to be part of this panel with all of you who have selflessly contributed to the expansion of the Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum. And now I'm going to go back to your question and turn off my mic if I pass the 4 minutes. I'll try to keep it brief. So, yes, I do believe that it intensifies existing vulnerabilities. But I think if we frame it in the proper way, we can transform it into this opportunity multiplier. Just, let me give you an example. I have the privilege to co-host the podcast series that we do with the forum with Ioana Yakumopoulou, Young, Loud, and Green. And we are already 4 episodes in, and we've had the opportunity to discuss with different young climate leaders from Turkey, Slovenia, Greece, and our upcoming episode is with Florent from Kosovo. And I think our listeners have realized that it's important to not forget that climate change isn't just about environmental issues. It's also deeply connected to social issues, to the toxic narratives that weigh on our generation. So imagine if you frame the climate crisis as this looming disaster. I mean, you're not going to only discourage, but even paralyze young people from taking action. Or even if you frame climate crisis in this blind, optimistic way, well, you risk ignoring the security challenges that lie with it. So I think here we just need to find the balance, be aware and acknowledge the risks of this problem, but also highlights the opportunities for collective action. So, yes, I do believe that in with proper framing, climate change can become this vehicle of transformation and enhance equal representation from and for marginalized voices, and enhance and promote educational reform, because it's really important the education we get as children in the way we think of problems and frame them and pass the message on. So I really hope that, with collective action from change makers, like the people I see on the panel here, we can transform climate change into this opportunity multiplier, especially for our region, and set the example.
Okay, Elena, what about you? What do you think?
Um, Thank you so much, Natalia, and also all the organizers and the speakers, and also the chat. I see a lot of messages over there from all over the globe. It's such it is virtual, yeah. Usually it goes well when we are all together in the same room, but I feel like we are connected anyway, and this era allows us to do so, and that's very powerful for young people all over the globe. And I would just start by saying this is such a good question, and the title of our session today is about environment, but peace, but also other things that are like so interconnected, as Natalia was mentioning, and I think all of us understand. So I believe that in our region, we know that peace is fragile, and we also know that the environmental problems and also opportunities are very, very well thought about, in terms of young people can see it, we can feel it directly. Maybe sometimes traditionally this region was a bit more privileged in some ways, but nowadays we are seeing it all over the globe. And I think that someone once told me, a diplomat from Romania told me that climate change has no borders, and I cannot agree more, because if we are not connected in conversations, we are all connected by this. So I feel like, of course, there are threats and also opportunities. I think young people can really see and be very hopeful about the future, but also the present. And we are nowadays, as we are all talking beforehand, we are also involved in everything that we are doing, and we want to do something with impact. So I would say that our region carries the memory of conflict and the reality of war at our borders. But today there is another problem, and that is reshaping our future and present, the climate crisis. I would just say that we are all very interconnected in so many ways, and I would say that there's no peace without climate action, and there's no climate action without peace. And not only that, I think what we are doing right now, and we are part of this network that allows us to work on diplomacy, and I think this is a skill that young people should have, and I think this is the way that we are collaborating, and diplomacy should be a skill or a competence of the future or the present, as well. Yeah, with that being said, I think there are threats. We are feeling it right now, but we are looking into opportunities as well, about how we are financing everything that we are doing, and how can youth be really a part of everything that is happening and shaping our future. So I would go further, of course, about this, but I am sure that our distinguished speakers will touch upon other things with this question specifically. Thank you so much.
And before Alina continues with the question, I just want to thank everyone who's tuned in, and I see all the comments. And thank you for everyone's support. Um, until Alina logs in, I'm guessing she might have some technical difficulties. Florin, do you want to maybe share your thoughts?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Florent. I come from Kosovo. So, yeah. Sorry, Alina. I started
Welcome.
without your believe she's still connecting. So, well, I'll continue with the same question. So, Well, the Southeast Europe, Southeast region, I would say, or like the Western Balkans, in the different way, however you can call this, no matter how big we think we are, still like the relative distance between each other is quite low. So whenever we are doing something that is really affecting we are going to know that it's going to affect also our neighbor and also neighboring countries, and also is going to affect our planet. So when it comes to what are the environmental challenges that we are having, or what could be like as an opportunity or as a multiplier, we can see that, for example, in case of Kosovo, we are in 2025, but we still have electricity problems. And when it comes like this, also could be an opportunity, because we can and go invest to a greener electrical combustion producer for electricity, or we can go another way straight away, find another solution of producing with electricity with water, or making a cross-border cooperation to produce electricity. So I think when it's coming, it's just like a simple matter that everybody is taking as granted, having electricity. But the way we are producing electricity, it does have a public effect on everybody. It's also economical value, and also it has a public health issues. Because, for example, in case of also Kosovo or Bosnia or North Macedonia, they have still we are producing electricity with coal. So in a way, this one is affecting our health and also our air quality. Well, when it's coming to our longer term, this could be as an opportunity also for us, because while we still have a lot of coal as reserves, we can use this one in different way, where it's less is affecting the air quality. Another reason why, while I can go to discuss about the environmental issues that is coming, is the water quality. Currently, Europe and also the Southeast East region is affected by climate change. We are having a decrease in water quality, and also in water storage. In a way, but when it's coming from my perspective as an environmental engineer, is not the problem is not that we don't have enough water. The problem is that we are growing in more numbers than we can afford to sustain the life with this water. So when it's coming to a perspective, is that we have to research and invest in development of water saving techniques, and also in a water storing or replenishment of these sources, and also building a new water reservoirs, which is maybe it's ongoing in many countries, but also it will cause in a way to, for example, increase the tourism, or increase or change the microclimate. This is also in different perspectives. So whenever we are thinking, like as an example of electricity, we can have an opportunity of building a new way of for example, nuclear power. But also this one comes with environmental concerns. So when it's coming to having, let's say, a greener environment, we have to look at for example, European Green Deal. So we have some way of investing and going through the green agenda for the Western Balkans, to wherever we can plan, and have to see in a way how the climate action, decarbonization, and circular economy will affect to reduce pollution. So in this case, we should also have some real projects on the ground. So whatever we are trying to discuss, and also as a youth, we have to push forward, is, I believe that with our activism, is we have to move to an energy transition, as for example in our country. But also this one is whatever the youth is thinking that is greener, I think we should also push forward to have a greener resolution for this one. So yeah, whatever we are doing as a youth, it will affect us. And also in 10 or 15 years, with our activism, we can have let's say a easier life, or a greener future. So yeah, this is my thoughts. So I pass to Alina.
Yes, thank you, Florent. We would like to also listen to Boyana's opinion on this.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. And to answer your question, firstly, when we talk about environmental challenges in Southeast Europe, we need to remember that most of our countries face very similar problems. We have extreme heat, droughts, wildfires that are making our agriculture less reliable year to year. Air pollution is one of the highest in Europe, especially in urban areas. Floods are becoming more frequent, and waste management continues to be an unresolved issue across our borders. At the same time, there is a constant pressure to shift to cleaner energy sources, but also to secure energy independence. These challenges do not stop at borders, as Elena mentioned. They are regional issues, not only because of our geographic proximity and spillover effects to neighboring countries, but also because our governments often deal with them in very similar ways by putting short term interests ahead of environmental priorities. That common approach makes this environmental crisis regional in character and not just in its impact. Now, whether these challenges become a threat or an opportunity really depends on how we choose to respond. If every country in the region tries to act alone with a little to no policy coordination, they can easily turn, I believe, into a source of conflict or at least mistrust. But if we recognize the chance to face them together, they can actually become a bridge for cooperation. So, in this sense, Serbia is a very good example. At the moment, our country is at the crossroads with new energy sources. There are ongoing negotiations with Russian energy firm Rosatom, nuclear energy firm, sorry, about opening a nuclear energy plant similar to the one in Hungary, while at the same time, the European Union is backing the proposed Rio Tinto's lithium mining project in Western Serbia. Both of these projects raise some environmental questions, but also touch on geopolitics and international relations. The choice of which path Serbia, for example, takes won't just affect its environment, it will shape regional stability and partnerships as well. So, to me, environmental challenges are both a threat multiplier and an opportunity multiplier. The real question here is will we treat them as a problem to fight over or as a chances to build something more sustainable together as a region? Thank you.
Thank you all for your inspiring insights. And while listening to you, I have also taken a few minutes to scroll through our audience's comments, and I have found this particular interesting question that I would like to address all of you. And someone asked, how can youth-led environmental diplomacy in Southeast Europe become a model for other conflict-affected regions of the world where climate and peace are deeply interconnected? Natalia, would you
So
like to start?
yes, this links great to the second question that we were going to discuss about in this panel. And before I answer this, I want to say that young people in our region, I think, are trying to find these common challenges that unite us. And we forget that action for common challenges in the same region doesn't come without a precedent. If we go back in time after the end of World War II, I don't know if anyone remembers, but part of the Elysee Treaty was the Franco-German Youth Office, which was established to enhance reconciliation efforts. My voice is cracking. Reconciliation efforts between the youth between France and Germany. So if we just focus on certain initiatives in the Balkans, we can see that as well. I'll give you an example. The Regional Youth Cooperation Office, well, it mainly focuses on the Western Balkans, but still operates under the same mindset. It tries to promote the spirit of reconciliation and cooperation. We also have Balkan Youth Cooperation, the co-founder of which Theodora Unidi was part of the first panel that we hosted at the National Youth Conference. And they also have the same principle of reconciling young people in the Southeastern European region. We also have Sea in Action. This was actually, I believe, was established after the Prespa Agreement, which was signed in 2018. For those in the audience who don't know, it was the agreement which resolved the long-standing name dispute between Greece and North Macedonia. And Sea in Action has had one of its first aims to reconcile youth between Greece and North Macedonia. So while these initiatives didn't have environmental action as their priority, I think they set a precedent for environmental networks like us to exploit these shared challenges and transform them into bridges for peace building, cooperation, and collaboration. And I don't want to say the cliche that if we really look deep into it, we can find more things that unite us rather than divide us. But I share the same opinion with Elena when she said that basically climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, no borders. And we want that awareness not to create fear, but to foster solidarity among young people in the region. And I see that we have many people from Africa, and maybe they can include in the comments some of their initiatives in Africa that were actually youth environmental focused and actually transformed into peace building tools for regions in conflict. So that's for me.
Okay, Elena.
Yeah, so I cannot agree more with what Natalia said and everyone else in beforehand, because I feel like I would give just a perspective of myself very close to the National Youth Council of Romania while the war started, and how it was perceived by young people. And I think I cannot really talk about this, but before I go into that, I would say that it was interesting thing where when 5 years ago I was writing my thesis, my master's thesis about climate migration, and it was taken by my professors with a pinch of salt, in terms of, okay, so this is a good topic, but in the same time is not as well researched in terms of, I took specifically our region, because it just gave me a bit of overview of what can mean for our region. And I really looked into climate migration being very interconnected with any type of migration, actually. And in the same time, I think there has been happening a lot in other parts of the world, but not here. So we are seeing this here as well. And I think this is a good topic that we should look into when we are talking about anything that has to do with conflict affected areas, because it's not only about peace and security. It's also exactly like Florent was very well highlighting, the effects on energy security and emissions, and how can we reduce but in the same time stay within some quality of life, as well as providing some places and some models of integration for other people coming from other places. And culturally it's quite difficult, but in the same time we should look into that in the upcoming years. Going back to the youth-led movements, we've seen here in Romania, as the war a bit dispatched a bit here, that we were looking, so as young people we are looking into, okay, so we are sending aid, how can we help, how can we mobilize a lot more people to talk about it, talk about the problem, but a bit more in terms of online and with our peers and families as well. But in the same time, it was we were looking into a bit of the future, short-term future, I would say. How can we integrate and not just have young people from Ukraine and other parts of the world, but how can we integrate them in the society for now? Let's see how can we move on and let them not feel hopeless in this particular situation that was very affected everything in the region, Europe, and I think the whole world. So I think I touched upon climate migration, security, environment, but also peace, but in the same time integration, and how can we, provide a system at national level, but not only that, at regional level, so we can, prevent and mitigate some of the risks that we're gonna be facing. But yeah, I feel like this specific situation of our region is it has particularities, and I think everywhere in the world, in some affected areas, we can, learn some good things and bad things that are happening, and how can we apply them in specific situations. But in the same time, looking into, and I'll be finishing with that, looking into becoming a model. I don't think there is one way of looking at things, but maybe looking into how other affected areas, in any way, shape, or form, have been dealing with anything, or how can we become more resilient, and not only that, prevent some things that have been happening and will happen. Unfortunately, we have to, be resilient and stay hopeful, but in the same time be realistic as young people, that we are not controlling everything, but in the same time we can, speak out more these days about everything that is happening. So I think, I hope I made some sense.
You did, Elena. Thank you. And I think our audience also agrees with everything you've said before, because I've been again reading all of the comments, and someone just said that climate change is also one of the factors leading to environmental chaos across all continents. And they have mentioned cyclones, for example, many young people that were affected with failing to access even social services like education, healthcare, and even security, as their infrastructure failed and the security agencies got damaged. And this led to another question that I saw earlier, mentioning diplomacy as a whole. And someone asked if there are any other ways in solving issues affecting the world without diplomacy. So, Florent, what do you think?
Uh, well, basically, most of the dialogue that is happening around, or how we consider the youth um, affecting the diplomacy, and especially the regulation and the framework that we work currently. I think I will link to previously and give an idea. For example, last week I was had a workshop which we organized with Youth Climate Diplomacy in Pristina, with the conference of Regional Youth Cooperation Office with the Western Balkans, about the Berlin process. And it was interesting that during the discussion we didn't have like a set topic. We were just discussing about different topics, so we were going through, and while we discussing, each of the participants were giving about the ideas about their climate issues that we have in our economies. I would call it like this. So whenever we were discussing, then everybody was saying like, yeah, I have this one in this neighborhood, I have this issue in when I visit the other place in my own country. So what was interesting is, for example, it was between Montenegro and Albania, since they share the Lake Shkodra, and they were discussing that whenever they have, for example, illegal fishing or illegal poaching of animals, whenever they will, the police will really do their job, and they will get someone, and they will try to find them. It came to the conclusion that both of these two parties, what they were reading is that you said like, yeah, we got them. We are stopping the illegal fishing or illegal poaching of wild animals. But when it came to sending them to before the jury, the laws and legislation of these two countries, they were not updated. So whenever maybe they had some troubles, like 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years, having issues with the law, at the end they were left without the fine, because the regulation, the laws is not doesn't prohibit them, or doesn't allow them to find these people that are doing illegal fishing. So when it's coming to the youth, what they can do is like we have to raise our voice. So these laws and legislation or frameworks are being updated. So it's not taken in a context from a negative way. We have to punish people because most of these people who are doing the illegal fishing, or maybe they are doing for their own families. So I think this is also good for tourism, or let's say for smallholder families. But it's not when it's negative and bad for the environment when it's doing a large scale and it's hurting damaging the ecosystem that we are living actually in. So yeah, this is, I think, what I wanted to say with the previous question, and this to link it in a way that it will make a connection between these two questions.
Okay, we'll quickly go to Boyana now and listen to her perspective. What do you think? Is there any other way to solve problem problems without diplomacy?
Thank you to all the panelists. This was amazing to listen to. So I will just shortly add that if we talk about problem solving, science is very important and gives us important tools to tackle all these big problems as climate change or pandemics. But it definitely alone is not enough. We do need, I believe, diplomacy as a form of communication to break these scientific silos and bring our ideas together. I believe that real change can only happen if these two go hand in hand.
Okay. Thank you all for your perspectives, and it's been amazing listening to all of your answers. But now we have to move to our next topic of the discussion. Although there are many questions still coming from our audience. But moving on to the second topic, as I said, I would like to ask you if today's young generations are more willing than the older ones to use common environmental challenges as a bridge for regional peace. What would you say about that, Natalia?
Well, honestly, I think I answered this one with the previous question, but I want to say that I agree 100% with what Boyana said. And I want to add that I think diplomacy is a practice that we also use in our everyday life without really noticing it. And I believe that in order to grasp the attention on a certain matter, we do need protests, huge campaigns. But being realistic, I think the only way to make tangible change is exactly by having science and diplomacy going hand in hand. But what we really are trying to do here through the Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum is to make the people who are part of the decision making processes listen to us and give us a space for meaningful participation and not just symbolic youth washing, participating in negotiations and decision making processes. And as for the question, I obviously said previously that I do believe that it is a peace building tool, and it can be. And it really depends on how we frame it and act upon it. So that's it for me for this question. And I'll be having an eye on the chat and answering some of the questions on YouTube.
Thank you, Natalia. So, Elena, what do you think? Can you also give us an example in your experience if you did collaborate with, I don't know, the other generations regarding climate issues?
Yeah. I have a few thoughts, well, a lot more, but I will try and summarize my thoughts. So, what I've been seeing in my experience as being the president of the Youth Platform for Sustainability, but other things, like on grounds here in Romania, what I've seen is that, other generations, I would say, looking into, how to make things, but they're working or building peace, or building projects and everything around treaties or paper or bureaucracy or anything as such, strategies and something like that. And I think what's powerful in terms of what are what the younger generation is doing and is thinking and is believing and is acting is exactly that, acting on specific things when they see it. It means that, you know, it's very valid to have these intersectional communication and dialogue. I always say that. I always say that, you know, looking into you know, how we communicate and work together, I don't think it's young people versus anything else. I think it's like it should belong in the same line, and it should have the same kind of responsibilities in terms of how we are doing things together. And not only that, seeing, you know, being part of the past three COPs, the conference of parties on climate change, I've seen this happening a lot more. I think at global level, you know, having a pavilion for young children and young youth and young and children, having a youth climate champion and a lot of other young representatives from delegations being, you know, recommended by other delegations to have young people involved in any kind of processes. I think this is very powerful, and it means that we had the voice heard very well these days at global level. I would say that for this specific region of ours, I think it's very still very hard to look into traditionally, culturally, having, you know, wise people at the table and young people being a bit not every time but silence, or being in terms of you know, being at the table and not being let to really connect with everything that is happening, and being given the tools and resources to do so and to be more involved, and not for them not having, you know, sometimes the bravery to ask a question whenever the question might be wrong or something like that. That's not the question. Actually, young people are asking the best questions ever. I would say that it's very important looking forward to, you know, make sure that they the older generations, I would say, of decision makers, maybe to actually taking to consideration young people. And not only that, we are young professionals, we are young scientists, as Pujana was putting it very well there. We are young you know, diplomats or young activists that are doing things on ground, and I think this is very powerful. I think I've heard numerous stories in conflicted regions of young people, you know, really doing the work that has been, you know, written on plans, and that is a huge thing. And I think going forward, our voice should be a little bit more powerful if we work together, as this network is allowing us in the region to do so. And this is amazing, and based on diplomacy, I think this is even better. I really believe in diplomacy and common grounds, and not a conflict, but rather a constructive way of seeing things. Even if I don't agree with you and you don't agree with me, we have to look into the bigger picture and scope. So I think intersectionality is definitely, you know, the way to do good things.
Thank you, Elena. Florent, what about you? What are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, I think Natalia and especially Elena summarized everything to it that I can add. The only thing is what the youth and the project is doing. What I can add is currently in Kosovo, we have a project about forestation with using drones and seeding balls in the region where it's not easy to access, and they recently had forest fires. So when it's because also for my own experience, I just recently had a field work that I had to do some data collection about forest growth, and I noticed whenever we were going hiking just to look at some trees, it was really difficult just reaching, like doing 200 meters up, while we have now, since we are the youth and we have the technology of having a small drone with a little battery, and it's doing the work for 1 hour, 2 hours, and we are planting some seeds in a really remote area, and we are covering, let's say, uh, 2,000 square kilometers for 1 hour with planting seeds. I think this is what the looking forward and the youth is going to do. And whenever you think that, let's say, this project was really effective in Canada and United States, and now it's being done in Kosovo, and I believe it was done in neighboring countries as well. I think it's really perfect that what they use with just let's say little handiwork, it's doing a really impactful work in the future, because with having reforestation, we are also slowing down the soil erosion. We are slowing down the heating of the like creation with these small heat islands. And especially we can see the difference when it's coming, for example, if you're living in a village during this time, and also if you live in the city, you will see the difference on water accumulation, on the heat temperature, also, which is being excreted from the AC that everybody has currently, most of in the houses. And I think the youth can also help to fight this differences between the past and the future, and moving us to, let's say, a globalization, but in perspective and positive way. So also this with the youth, I think, since we are a little bit more looking forward to traveling, I think the moment we travel to a new country, we for my own way, I think I will always look for something that is interesting and something that is beautiful, that I can take it from another country and bring it back home, and then that I can implement also in my house or in my garden. So yeah, this is what I could add for this.
Thank you, Florence. Bojana, would you also like to add a few
Yes,
thoughts?
yes. Well, I definitely, as my colleagues, believe that younger generations are more willing. But what we didn't talk about is that we are the first generation to truly grow up not only feeling these effects, but also hearing about it regularly, debated the climate change and environment. And for us, this is not a distant problem. It is something that directly shapes our everyday lives and our future prospects. And I have to mention again our Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum as a clear example of this shift. We are coming together over common concerns such as clean water, safe, clean air, safe water, and sustainable jobs. And I believe that this shared concern is very powerful because it gives us a natural starting point to build trust, which over time can extend into, I hope, more politically sensitive areas. And to directly answer the questions, I do not see common environmental challenges as a bridge for regional peace by themselves, but I do see them as a very reliable stepping stone towards building that bridge. And of course, the energy, creativity, and commitment of youth across our region really gives me the hope that we can work towards these sustainable and peaceful solutions together. Just to finish, I also at the same time want to acknowledge that it was the older generations who first pushed these issues onto the international and our regional agendas. And without that groundwork, youth today would not have the space like we have, nor the legitimacy to act. So now, of course, it falls onto us to take it to the next level and to move it from awareness to real action. Thank you.
Thank you too for your contributions. So today, I think today's discussion really highlighted how the environment isn't just about the climate change or sustainability, but also about building trust and creating dialogue, which is exactly what we are trying to do here within the Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum. And moreover, this shows that us as young people are not only inheriting some challenges, but we are also building and discussing solutions. And it's been great hearing all of your thoughts and reading all of the questions that have been written in the comments. But I would like to ask you now maybe for some final remarks, and I will start with mine. I think one thing that I learned today, as many of you said, is that the highlight of the day is that climate change has no borders. So this is what I will will be leaving with from today's panel. And I would like to invite you again to share some final thoughts and I don't know, give us a power word to take home, to say so, from this discussion. Natalia?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Lena. So I saw a question on the comments. They're asking us if we have a WhatsApp group for Africa. We don't, but I will say this to our chair, Rania Papadopoulou, and we'll get back to you with that. And I want to say that Boyana said how older generations brought into the international and regional agenda the topic of climate crisis. And I think this great pass for me to say how grateful we are to Professor Emanuela Vusis, who gave us the space to create the Youth Climate Diplomacy Forum as part of the UNESCO Chair on Climate Diplomacy. And I want to say that the beauty of climate diplomacy is that it is an interdisciplinary practice, bringing people from diverse backgrounds together for a common cause. And as Boyana said, climate change might not be the bridge to peace by itself, but the way we frame it and act upon it, as I said before, is a start. And I think it is a solid start. So I think we should be hopeful for the future. We're not going to return back to normality, but let's try to make things better, I guess. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Natalia. Elena, a few words.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Boyana said, Natalia, Florent, yourself, Alina, but also everyone else in the comments. One thing that I think I'm living with today as well is that we are here and we are very privileged to be here in front of you, sharing what we are doing, sharing exactly the acts that we are doing, and not stopping and trying to multiplicate this message towards to actually to everyone, in our families, peers, friends, communities, everything else. But in the same time, I always think when I take the mic or the stage to say something, I have the responsibility to look for to speak for the young people that have no voice at the moment. Maybe because they cannot, maybe because they didn't find it yet, maybe because they were not given the resources, or other specific things. And I think we all have the responsibility to, when we are looking into how can we help, how can we develop everything that we are doing and everything else, to look into the communities that are a little bit more vulnerable than ours, or to create some spaces for young people to share their voices, even though maybe they didn't have the chance before. And I'm very honored to be here and to have had this opportunity. And thank you so much for having me as well. Yeah, we all have a responsibility to take our voices, but not forget about other young people as well that do not have the voice yet.
Thank you, Elena. Florent, a few words before we say goodbye to our audience.
Well, thank you for the session and for your for guiding us with the topics, and thanks for the other participants and the attendees. What I would like to add as a concluding remark is that I think now we have social media, so I think the moment we see something wrong, I think we should raise our voice right away. It doesn't matter. I think how little that we are going through it. I think someone at some point will read or post or comment, and then will act on it, or even they will ask your support to do something, or they will ask for your input to take your idea as from a little, let's say, as a just a letter, to a really big deal. So I think let's say the Southeast Europe is not so green. So I think the moment as a youth, I think we see something better. I think we can move forward and try to make our Southeast region even greener, and I think it will be much more cooler in the future. So we won't really have to feel so much the summer heat. So I think, yeah, this going to the sea, let's say we are going to Greece to have some fun, but I think we have to go home, and we have to make sure that even our home is comfortable, same as is going to be the Greece shore. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Florent. Diana?
Well, thank you, Alina, and thank you to all the panelists, and of course, all the comments. We really have been reading everything. And for the end, I would like to remark that the youth environmental diplomacy is not just a niche area of activism. I believe it is one of the quite practical forms of regional peacekeeping that is available to us youth at the moment. And the next critical step is definitely to focus our efforts on securing support. We did make the roadmap. Now we need the investments to build that bridge. So thank you all very much.
Thank you once again to our speakers for today, and to the International Youth Conference for making this event possible. And before we say our goodbyes to our audience, remember to stay tuned for our upcoming second YCDF regional conference in October. And we hope to do this again soon and have another interesting panel. So thank you once again, and goodbye to
Thank
everyone
you.
who's been
Bye,
here with
everyone.
Thank
us today.
you. Bye.
Thank you so much.